Well, hello there, and welcome back to the Thai Expat Daily Show. I'm your host, Kira Mack, and delighted that you've been able to tune in to today's podcast. Now, normally we will have the news, but actually it's been very, very quiet weekend in terms of news that would affect expats here in Thailand. And as I have also said, we'll always bring you kind of a different show one time per week, and this is that show. So what we're going to discuss today is working in Thailand and kind of the top jobs that would attract foreigners here to Thailand, roughly how much you'd make in this occupation, and what you really need to do to be able to work legally here in the country. Now, Thailand is a popular destination for expats seeking new opportunities and experiences here in Thailand. With its rich culture, tropical climate, and low costs of living, it's an attractive option for many. However, working in a foreign country and Thailand can be a challenging experience, and it's important to be well informed before making the move here. Now, what we're going to do is discuss in this show, and we'll provide kind of an overview of the job market, working conditions, and the process of finding work here in Thailand. So, Thailand has a thriving job market with opportunities available in a range of industries, including tourism, manufacture, IT, and other such things. The service sector is the largest employer, followed by the industrial sector. The country's strong economy and growing middle class have also created demand for professionals in finance, technology, and other high-skilled jobs. Now, working conditions in Thailand are generally quite good, but they can vary depending on the industry and, of course, the employer. Most workplaces follow a standard 8-hour workday, and overtime is common. So generally 8 hours per day, you work 9 hours, 8 hours per day, there's an hour lunch break given in there over the course of the day. And then, of course, overtime, a lot of places have overtime, but in Thailand it's worth remembering that you can work only a maximum of 36 hours overtime per day or per week, and that is by law. Employees are entitled to a minimum of 6 days holidays and 13 public holidays, so a total of 19 days total vacation per year. And the law requires employers to provide social security coverage and health insurance for their employees. The health insurance is normally coupled with the social security, and that comes from the government, and you receive a little card and allow you to access to various types of public hospitals here in the country. Now, wages in Thailand are obviously low compared to many Western countries, but of course that would depend on the industry that you're getting into. This is also offset by the kind of the lower cost of living for many expats living here in Thailand. Now, the minimum wage in Thailand for a local, let's say, is somewhere between 300 to 356 baht, depending on the province that you live in. Each province has various different minimum wages per day. For example, Phuket is 356 Thai baht, I think, along with Bangkok and Chonburi, I think. Not 100% sure, but definitely Phuket and Bangkok are 356. Obviously, professional positions in high-skilled industries can command much, much higher wages. The process of finding work in Thailand can vary depending on your individual skill and experience. For those with professional skills and qualifications, job searching can often be done from abroad using online job boards or professional networks. Networks with expatriate communities in Thailand and reaching out to potential employers directly can also be a very effective strategy. So a lot of people here in Thailand, if you're working in Thailand, obviously there's job boards here, and there's websites advertising various jobs. And a lot of time they're very direct in these jobs. They'll say Thai national only. They'll say expats welcome. So the job postings are very specific. And that's just the way it is here. It's not illegal in Thailand to specify that we only want a Thai for this job or we would like an expat for this job. So in Thailand, that's perfectly allowed. Also, another very good source for looking for jobs is LinkedIn here in Thailand. A lot of people use it, and there's a lot of companies who advertise their jobs here in Thailand on LinkedIn. So that's also another place to have a look. Work visas are required for all foreign workers in Thailand, and the process of obtaining a visa can be a little complex. And to get a work visa, you're going to need a work permit. And of course, you have to have a work permit to be able to legally work here. Now, your work permit, I think they've gotten rid of the work permit now, and they have a digital version, but some places still giving out the blue work permit book. The work permit is very important, as I said. It stipulates basically your place of employment, what you're employed as. It says what you can and can't do, basically. And yeah, this is very important. Now, it's also another thing, discuss about work permits. and your non-B visa, which is what you need to be able to legally work here. Generally, how it works is, if, for example, you're still living outside of Thailand and you're looking for a job and you get a job offering, what they will do is they'll process your paperwork here in Thailand, send it to you so that you can apply for your non-B visa from your local Thai embassy of whatever part of the world you would be. To do that, they file the necessary paperwork with the Labour Office, and then they give you a I think it's WP3 or WP4 form. And this is just a work auth. This means you've been approved in principle to work, and it would allow you to get the non-B visa in the country. Now, people who come to Thailand and they were already here but don't have a job, it's pretty much the same process, but then you'll need to travel outside of Thailand, what we call a visa run. And here in Thailand, a lot of people go to Penang in Malaysia because the Thai consulate there is there, and they will take obviously the company documents. The company should know what documents are needed. You submit them all and you'll get your non-B visa, and then you can come back to Thailand again, and you'll get your work permit after that, and you'll be able to start work. Normally, you should have your work permit and non-B visa before you start work, but it's not uncommon in Thailand for companies to have people work illegally during a probation period because they don't want to, pay this fee or whatever. Also, any company worth its weight in gold who's employing you as a foreigner should be paying for your work permit and your visa expenses. Now, I'm not talking about, the visa run itself, but they should be at least paying for the cost of the work permit, the associated fees, and the cost of the non-B visa, so the fee that you would have to pay the embassy when you go down there to get your non-B visa. Any business, if a business starts saying to you, oh no, we don't pay that, you have to pay that, my advice to you is run. Unless you're desperate for a job, because they don't value you already, and they're already kind of taking the piss out of you a bit, if you kind of understand what I mean. It is common practice for that to be paid by the employer. They're advertising a job. They want a foreigner to come work for them. Then they have to kind of pay the expenses related to having that foreigner. But sometimes, of course, we do all know that people just need a job. They want to make some money, and in order to do it, they'll pay the fee because they think, well, all right, it's my foot in the door. I don't want to cause any problems. But again, as I say, any good company is paying that for you. And many will actually pay for your visa run as well, okay, and pay for all the fees related to that. So that's just worth bearing in mind. Now, what are the top jobs that foreigners are, working at in here? So, of course, you're going to know the first one. The first one you're going to say, absolutely, it's teaching, Kieran. And yes, it is teaching. Probably the number one job amongst expats coming to Thailand at the moment. And it's easily the most popular occupation here. They've become increasingly competitive, however, during the pandemic due to many schools making cutbacks. However, there is still strong demand for teachers in the many international schools and English language teaching programs. Now, I have a website I like to keep an eye on is ajaran.com, and this is where you will find a lot of teaching jobs advertised. And it's always worth browsing this if you're looking for jobs. They advertise private schools, international schools, universities, Thai schools, whatever it may be. So yes, you can always find jobs on that. To work in an international school, you will need to have a teaching degree in the subject they offer and be able to teach in their chosen language of instruction. Normally it's English. Not to mention the pay in these schools is often quite good, though the work may be challenging. You can also teach English as a private tutor at a tuition centre or through cultural organisations. For this, you'll likely need a native speaker and have a degree. You'll also be required to have certificates such as TESOL or TEFL. Even novice teachers can end up earning more than seasoned locals. While this is not a field with much room for career growth, opportunities are plentiful and diverse, and it's a profession that is well respected by Thais. Yes, when I first moved to Thailand, I worked as an English tutor, in a private language school in Phuket, about 6 months or so. The pay was different. It really depended on what you were doing. When I first started, I was doing private classes. I was getting about 500 baht per hour to teach in this school. And that was okay. I mean, I just come to Thailand. I really hadn't really envisioned that I needed to work at the beginning, but I did it because, I had to discuss with somebody, and it was a good opportunity at the time. And then I ended up going to work in some Thai schools, still underneath the umbrella of the language school. So I was basically being outsourced to them. And yeah, I made the money was okay. It wasn't great. It was enough to pay, your your day-to-day expenses and your rent each month, and it was fine. But what I actually did find out was that the school that I worked with were making a fortune of money out of me and giving me only a little bit. So that's the problem with these kind of language schools around various parts of Phuket and all aspects of Thailand. You know, there's a middleman there taking large chunks of what you really could get from them if you went direct. But of course, then they're the one who introduced you to this school and this job. So yeah. It's a bit scammy, to be honest with you, if you want to know my true opinion on it all. I was on, for example, Ajahn just today, and I saw an interesting job. Just to give you an idea of the salary, the benefits. So this was a job at Denla Trilingual School in Bangkok, and it's advertised at least 80,000 baht. Now that's about $2,300, 2,200 euro, or nearly just shy of £2,000 a month. So basically, this is the advertisement. So we're looking for 4 motivated preschool teachers. They must be female, a qualified teacher with a BA in education or a graduation in an education qualification that took at least 1 year of full-time study, a native English speaker, an experienced teacher, a dynamic teacher, and it goes on, a team player. But the benefits we offer: a monthly salary between 70 and 90,000 baht per month, depending on education and experience. A 10,000 baht per month housing allowance. Thus, total package between 80 to 100,000. Gratuity of 1 month's salary per year of service payable at the end of the contract. Annual economy class flight allowance up to 50,000 per year. Professional development fund up to 30,000 baht per year. Health insurance, paid holidays, 9 weeks per year. So that's just an average. That's a job I just saw on Ajahn.com, one of the first top ones at the top of the page. I mean, it's in Bangkok. Bangkok is going to be a little expensive, but not more expensive really than, let's say, Phuket. Could you live on that? 80,000, the various things. Of course you could, absolutely. You know, you could have a nice standard of life in that kind of money. So that's just an idea of what I see. Another one here for primary school teachers. And they're offering, it also says in Bangkok, 55,000 per month. 5 to 6 weeks paid holidays per year. Visa and work permit provided. An annual salary increase and various other things. So teaching in various schools in Thailand can be quite profitable. Now, actually, at the moment, there seems to be a lack of teachers here in Thailand, a lot to do with the pandemic and whatnot, and a lot went home and never came back. And then they were off put by the rules and regulations to enter the country, of course. So yeah, there is a lot of job opportunities. And as I'm looking at the jobs board here, there is a shitload of jobs for people here with good salaries, good money available to people. So anyway, that's a profession. That's why people have always been drawn to coming to Thailand. Now, I wouldn't make it as your long-term career, but certainly something worth looking into. Now, another one that's very popular with expats is diving instructor. Now, while the tourism sector is still not where it is due to the effects of the pandemic, there are still efforts being made to attract travellers to the many popular dive sites around the kingdom. For those that love to work outdoors, a career as a scuba diving instructor can be a great option, guys. The earnings can be quite good, especially during peak tourist seasons, and they're based on a percentage of group fees. There is great flexibility in choosing where to find employment, as Thailand has an extensive shoreline thanks to its 1,400 islands that can be found in both the Andaman and the Gulf of Thailand. Now, you can also train up to be a dive master certification in a matter of months and at a cost of a few $1,000s before you start earning money. It's an appealing career for a lot of people, and I was trying to figure out roughly the salaries, and it can be anywhere really between 30 and 40,000 baht per month. I saw jobs offered up to 70, 80, 100,000 baht per month. So, I mean, there's no real ceiling on the amount of money that can be made as a dive instructor here in Thailand. So, I mean, if you get your qualifications and whatnot, there's no reason why Thailand can't be that for you. But again, it's in the hotel industry, hospitality industry. It's kind of tied to tourism, and we've seen when a pandemic happens that these kind of businesses are the very first to go out of business. So always worth bearing that in mind. Now, another thing, freelance writer, blogger. Freelance work is a great option for those who like to have the great flexibility in choosing where to work and when. Many people work online writing jobs from Thailand through such platforms as Upwork and Fiverr. You can write articles, academic papers, or marketing content. You can even make a living as a blogger, focusing on such interests as travel, food or fashion. You can write for your own blog or even for magazines, making money from advertising on your site or paid content. Now, I'm not sure how much money. Very hard to get any kind of figure on how much money you would make doing that. But there seems to be popular expat sites out there that are doing it. And obviously, there are people who are more successful at doing, people like Richard Barrow or Mark Wiens is another guy who has a very good website. Obviously, he does videos and everything. He's made a real career out of, his own kind of personality and his writing. And there's a lot of expats who have and will continue to do so. So if you have a skill in writing, you're a skill with language, it's certainly worth doing. But it's going to take a while. There's certainly no instant money, instant cash. It's going to take years to build up kind of like a portfolio and whatnot. So, but obviously worth taking in mind. Now, another one which is very popular with expats is hospitality. Now, the hospitality industry is fairly diverse and well developed here in Thailand. There are many opportunities for expats that have the experience, but it's in managerial positions as guest relations staff, entertainers or chefs. Some niches like tour guides are, however, reserved for local Thais. With tourists coming from all over the world, the industry have plenty of room for those that can speak their language and offer them a cultural experience they are familiar with. So the more languages you speak and the more related work experience you have, the better positioned you are to find a job. So you're talking about hotels, resorts, restaurants. They're just a few of the different things, and even tour companies, right? Actual tour companies itself. So where do we begin on salary ranges for various places? So let's start off first with what you can and can't do in the hospitality industry. But you can in some way. In general, an expat could not work as a waiter in a restaurant. Normally, that's not allowed. Or a bartender. Normally, they should work in a managerial position. But I have also seen supervisory positions in hotels where expats have been working. It's a little bit of a grey area there. It really all depends on how good of a relationship your employer has with the Labour Office and how good they are at writing work descriptions. I think that's the best way to kind of phrase all that. Now, what kind of jobs are there in, let's say, hospitality industry for expats? Well, first we're talking about hotel managers, resort managers, general managers of hotels. 3, 4, 5-star hotels. But generally, let's say 4 or 5-star hotels that are in tourist areas that have a lot of, let's say, expats and whatnot, staying at expats, where they have a lot of tourists from abroad staying at their hotels. Hotel owners here generally like to have an expat as the kind of the go-to guy because they speak their language and they kind of know the guests that they're dealing with. So yes, this is one area where they certainly a job can be found. So what kind of salary are we talking about? It really greatly depends. It depends on whether it's a Thai employer or an international employer, branded hotel, not branded hotel. But general manager of a hotel, you're talking at least starting off 100,000, and the ceiling for that to 300,000. It can be anywhere in between this. It really can. The scope of the job, who you're working for, the brand you're working for, it really is very dependent on that. But that's the kind of salary you're looking at. Guest relation managers in hotels. Generally, these people are people who have a hotel background and also can speak a number of languages. So, if you're employing somebody in a hotel as guest relation manager, you want them at least to have English, German, maybe, English and another language. And that is very important in hotels, especially where you have a lot of international guests. And obviously you want a guest relation manager that will appeal to the majority kind of the nationality of the people that you have staying there. That kind of job, you're starting somewhere around 40,000 baht upwards. Okay? It really depends. And it depends on the person, their skill, the kind of jobs that you would have them doing. Again, but 40, 45 upwards. Head chef in a hotel. Now, this is another one. It's a bit like the GM hotel manager salary. It really is dependent on the kind of hotel, the standard that you're working at. Anything. It can be start off 60, 70 up. There's no real limit. A couple of 100,000 a month. Head chefs can make very good money. If you're skilled, have a reputation, you can go a long way here in Thailand as a chef. the chefs that I've met here, I've met some good chefs. I've also met some real bluffers as well along the way here in Thailand. But you get a bit of both as well. And those kind of jobs are really what expats kind of move into. Obviously also working for tour companies, but maybe in more managerial positions. Okay, because in essence, you can't be a tour guide here. Now, I've seen companies get around this by having, let's say, a person from, let's throw it out there, Chinese person on the trip, but with a Thai person, but the Chinese person is the one doing all the talking. And it's a little bit it's not grey at all, it's illegal, right? And it shouldn't be happening. There's plenty of Thai people here who can speak fluent Chinese that are looking for work. So there is some countries or some companies that are still doing this. But nevertheless, the hospitality industry has been a huge employer of expats here in Thailand before the pandemic and now after. So, if you're skilled in hotel industry, you like the general atmosphere of maybe beach resorts or city resorts. I mean, it's completely, there's so much options here. It's certainly a place to consider, but not just Thailand, by the way, Southeast Asia, anywhere there. Very great opportunities in hospitality. And finally, acting and modeling. Now, I've seen this has been growing here in Thailand, right? So Thailand has a growing movie industry that is offering exciting opportunities for expats. It's becoming an increasingly popular destination for production companies from other parts of Asia, Africa and the West due to its lower costs, beautiful settings and modern facilities. While local talent is abundant, many production companies require the inclusion of other ethnicities that can make for a good payday for the right expat. The business is however highly competitive, so it can be tough to secure work as an actor or a model. The pay is typically based on work done, so income will be fairly sporadic, guys. However, if you have the right look and partner with a good agency, you can make a good living here. Earnings can widely vary, however the earnings of an extra can easily outstart that of a language teacher. So there's an interesting fact in relation to it. But I do see a lot of advertising for models here in Thailand, but I'm not really sure what the working conditions are like here in Thailand. And I think somewhat I'd be a little concerned about maybe the treatment of models here in Thailand. I just don't know. I'm just kind of throwing that out there. What do you think? But that's kind of my take on kind of the top 5 jobs for expats here in Thailand. Now, if you're an expat living here in Thailand, do you fall into any of those 5? And if so, which ones? Or if you don't, what other opportunities do you see for expats working here in Thailand? Obviously, there's other things like starting your own business and stuff like that, but that's for a different kind of podcast. Today, we're just talking about the top 5 kind of jobs, industries that you can go into here. And obviously I haven't entered in IT, information technology and other things like that, which are, up and coming as well. But I'd love to know your thoughts about it all. Do you find the salaries kind of like similar to your own country? Are you surprised by the salaries and how much people earn here? I'd love to know your opinions as always down below in the comment section. And yes, guys, thanks yet again for tuning in. Don't forget to hit a like there, subscribe and do share if you get a chance. And we'll see you during the week with another news podcast.